I'm not supposed to, but I have a book haul for you guys today. So I thought I would do a mid-month update. It's almost the middle of June. I thought I'd do a mid-month update, and then I also thought that I would do a book haul for you guys because I got a few books from our local library. They were having a sale. Some of these I bought at the end of May, but then I'll show you some fun ones that I got in June. So to start off, let me just say, you guys have been so awesome. You guys have been so amazing. Just the people that have kind of come out of the woodwork to be supportive, random YouTubers who have found my video and commented, thank you so much. You guys have just been nothing but supportive and even helpful in some of the comments were really helpful. And shout out to Paul Reed's, his channel. So he was very supportive, but then also he does this really, really cool thing on his channel where every Sunday he has a little video dedicated solely to small booktubers where he does shout outs. And, you know, he'll do some booktubers under 100 subscribers, under 500 subscribers, and then under 1,000 subscribers. And he reads like crazy. Like, he's got a ton of books that he reads every month. Anyway, so thank you so much, Paul. That was so kind of you to do a shout out of my little tiny itty bitty YouTube channel. And thank you to everybody else who's followed me. It just made me so excited. So I just had to remember those and give thanks to you guys because I watched a YouTube drama video over the weekend and it made me scared to like make another video. But we're gonna keep plugging away. I'm gonna show you some books that I got. Oh, I'm gonna do my update first. So reading this month has already been slower than it has last month. So I read 2 of my books so far. I read Smile, the graphic novel, and then I read Lemon Tart. I finished Lemon Tart. I'm in the middle of reading, I don't know where it went. It's somewhere around here. I'm in the middle of reading The Highly Sensitive Person. It's slow going in that book just because it makes you bring up a lot of things. I mean, it's a self-help book, so it brings up a lot of different things that it's kind of uncomfortable to deal with, so it's a little bit slower going through it, but it brings up a lot of good things. And so I am going to finish it because it feels like it really is, it's helping see things in a different light. So I really, really like it. But I still have 2 more books to read before the end of the month, and I need to finish that other one, so wish me luck. It's been slow going, but the other reason why I haven't been doing so well is because I kind of re-dove into a video game, and it kind of has consumed my soul and my life, and I adore this video game. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. If you're a gamer and you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, holy shnikes. Holy shnikes. It's for PS4. I don't know if it's available for Xbox or, I just found out that it's going to be available for PC soon. But Horizon Zero Dawn just, oh my gosh. I mean, this is probably a whole nother video. It's a tangent, but I love Horizon Zero Dawn. It has such a fantastic story, and the world creation and the art is just beautiful, and I just love the characters. The characters are so near and dear to my heart now. I love that story. So I've kind of been sucked into that instead of reading when I really should be reading. Anyways, so let's get into the book haul. So the first ones I'm going to show you are ones that I picked up from our library. So what they do is that throughout the month they have a sale. So the beginning of the month they put out new books. They just have these books for sale for like $3, $2.50, $1.50, 50 cents, you know, really, really cheap, right? I mean, I've seen huge big art books that they sell for like 15 bucks, but they're still really, really cheap. So for the first half of the month, that's kind of what they do. Then the second half of the month, they're half price. And then towards the end of the month, they'll do a week or a few days where it's $1 a bag. So they have these plastic grocery bags sitting out, and you just fill up your bag and you just pay $1 for every bag. I think on the very last day of the month, the books are free. Like, you can just take them. But by the end, you know, it's slim pickings, not very good titles left. So these were definitely an impulse buy, but they were $1 for just about, I think it was $2 for this whole set that I'm going to show you guys. Some of these I'm not as excited for, I'll admit, again, because they were an impulse buy. I was feeling really bad and it was slim pickings at the library, so I just kind of, some of these I'm not that excited about, so we'll see if I actually get to them. I'm just going to be honest with you, yeah, some of these I'm like, why did I pick that up? But some of these I am still really excited for. And then the second half are books that I got from another, not a library sale, but a book sale, and they were really, really awesome. So I've got quite a few books to go through. I've got about 15 or 16 books to go through for you guys. So here we go. The first of the library sale books is Dead Canaries Don't Sing. This is a mystery novel following a veterinarian. So that's sort of the niche that this mystery falls in, I guess, is veterinarian. So all her mysteries have to do with some kind of animal. And this one is, there's a dead canary that was found buried next to the body that was found. Anyways, so I thought that one would be kind of, again, another mystery to sort of branch out into and just to give a try. It sounded kind of fun. So there's Dead Canaries Don't Sing by Cynthia Baxter. The next book I have is called Rule of the Bone by Russell Banks. This one, I picked this one up because I like, what's it called? I picked this one up because I like Kids of Appetite by David Arnold. I really, really enjoyed that book, and so I thought this might be a little bit similar. It's like a coming-of-age story. This kid's kind of troubled, he deals with drugs or like an abusive stepfather and all these things. So I thought this one would be kind of interesting. This is one I'm kind of iffy on. Maybe I'll get to it, maybe I won't, kind of a thing. But that's Rule of the Bone by Russell Banks. Next one I have is Venom of the Mountain Man by William W. Johnston with J.A. Johnston. This is a first time in print. This is a Western that I decided to just randomly pick up. I have an idea for a Western story that I would like to write, but I just kind of wanted to read a Western and see what they're like in the book community. This one, it just looks kind of fun. So this is about a guy that he sees a train being held up, and his gunslinger instincts come into action, and apparently he kills one of the men, and turns out that man is the brother of a famous outlaw, or some outlaw that's really, really dangerous. And his wife, the guy's wife, is like, I'm sick of this Wild West crap, I'm gonna go back east, and then she gets kidnapped while she's back east. And so the main character has to go rescue his wife, but then also deal with this outlaw who's on his tail for murdering his brother. So kind of classic westerny stuff, revenge, gunslinging, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited for that one. The next one I picked up because the cover drew me, but then also how tiny it is. So this is called The Moon Opera by, I'm not good at speaking Chinese names, or so I'm really, really sorry, but by Bei Fu, that's his name. It's a guy. There's a picture on the back flap. Anyway, so this is called The Moon Opera, and look at how tiny it is. It's like 117 pages-ish. Anyways, so this one is actually about the Peking opera. So let me just read the description to you, because it's kind of hard to describe. So 117 pages, and then this is what's packed in here. In a fit of diva jealousy, Xiao Yanqiu, star of the Moon Opera, disfigures her understudy with boiling water. Spurned by the troupe, she turns to teaching. 20 years later, a rich cigarette factory boss offers to underwrite a restaging of the cursed opera, but only on the condition that Xiao Yanqiu return to the role of Cheng Yi. So she does, this time ultimately believing she has fully become the immortal moon goddess. Set against the drama, intrigue, jealousy, retribution, and redemption of backstage Peking opera, the Moon Opera is a stunning portrait of women in a world that simultaneously reveres and restricts them. Bei Fu, the author, takes a piercing look at all the temptations and triumphs of the stage the world over, resulting in a beautiful novel by one of China's young literary stars. So, yeah, it's just a short little book that I thought would be interesting, branch out, go to a different country. So that's The Moon Opera. Next I have is The Boat That Wouldn't Float by Farley Mowat. The cover drew me at first because I was like, well, that's kind of a psychedelic cover. But The Boat That Wouldn't Float is about basically, yeah, this boat that won't float. It's, you know, it seems determined to sink itself. And so the people who are traveling on the boat are trying to keep it from, you know, keep it from sinking. But it follows kind of all along Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, and that's kind of, I guess, the course that they took. So I thought this one was just kind of a fun sea adventure that looked really interesting. Next I have is, I picked it up because of the author's name, Garrison Keillor. This is called Woebegone Boy. Garrison Keillor is somebody, a name that we grew up with as kids. We always listened to his joke tapes. He had a radio show that he did for years and years, but we always listened to the joke side of things. And his writing is kind of interesting. I have another book by his that I haven't read yet, but I'm planning on reading. I have all his poetry collection books. He's got a selection of poems that he put together from his radio show, and reading his introductions has been really interesting. And so I wanted to read what his writing novel style is. Lake Woebegone Boy is sort of about a guy who leaves Lake Woebegone and he goes to, I think he goes to New York. He kind of leaves his kind of funky small town and goes and tries to escape from it, kind of a thing. He gets married, but then he also tries to sort of search for a meaning in his life and that kind of a thing. So I'm probably butchering it, but anyways, Lake Woebegone Boy, or Woebegone Boy by Garrison Keillor. Next I have, this is one I got, I think, early in May. Actually, I got all these in May. But next is Jesus the Christ by James E. Talmage. This is a book about the life of Christ, sort of a very in-depth, it's a big book. But the reason why I got this, I already own a copy, but the reason why I got this one is because it's got some annotations in there, so, and some underlining and things like that, and I really was interested to see what somebody else found interesting about Jesus the Christ. Like, what did they find important? And I think that's part of the reason why I've started annotating my books, is because I think it would be fun for somebody in the future to find my book and be like, oh, what did this person think about this story? Did they love it? Did they hate it? Did they find this really moving or whatever? And so that's part of the reason why I got this one, is just because of the annotations. Next up, I have one that I'm pretty excited for. It's called The Stone and the Flute. This is a huge book. It's 800 pages. The Stone and the Flute by Hans Behmen. This was translated from German, and it's a fantasy novel. The description's gone from the back cover, so I had to go look it up on Goodreads. Let me just bring it up real quick. Okay, I brought it up on Goodreads before I started the video. It says, setting out on a journey with a rare and magical stone, Listener, that's the guy's name, Listener searches for his grandfather, the legendary gentle fluter, from whom he will inherit a magical instrument, and for the woman whose eyes match the colors of the stone. That's the book description, just very, very minimal, and it's this huge, fat, 800-page book. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, if anybody in Germany, you know, sees this video, but this book, I believe it's in 3 different parts in Europe, but here it's all together. Like in the table of contents, it says, if I can find it, yeah, it says book 1, 2, and 3. So I think it's 3 different books elsewhere, but it's all together in this volume. Next up I have is a book from my childhood that I was really excited to find because it's the original cover that I remember finding in my junior high library. It's called The Forgotten Beasts of Eld. So this is the library hardback edition. But this one is sort of just a magical story about a girl who goes to live in the mountains with magical creatures and stuff. And this one I think is kind of one, it's just best to go in blind a little bit, but I was so excited to find it. It's just a short little book. I mean, it's not that long. It's got huge print, so anyway, so that's Forgotten Beasts of Eld. Okay, so the next section of books I've got for you guys, I got from a book sale that was just around locally from a place called the Dollar Bookstore. And they used to have a bookstore here locally, but then they kind of went out of business / they moved into like a warehouse. So they have this warehouse that they're in now, and then every few weeks they post on Facebook that, hey, we're having a sale this weekend, you know, come check it out, blah, blah, blah. And all the books there are there for $1. And they've got thousands of books, just thousands. They're all kind of intermingled with each other, so it's hard to find like certain genres specific genres that you're looking for. But all the books are $1, except for they do have a collectibles case where they have more expensive books that are worth more, and then they have like a $2 room, a $3 room, and a $5 room. All the books that I wanted happened to be from the $2, $3, $5 room and the collectibles section, which is okay because I know that these books I very deliberately picked out, whereas some of these from the library were just kind of like on a whim. Yeah, that looks interesting. But all of these were books that I was really excited about. So first off, we have The Black Stallion, this really, really cool looking edition by Walter Farley. So I've never read The Black Stallion. I don't know if it's a good story or not, but this edition just really caught my eye. And something else that I found out today that I thought was super cool. So it has the price here. Originally, it's $2. But then over on the side here, I've got, originally it was sold for $22.50. Like it was sold, like originally for $2, but then somebody resold it for $22.50. I got it for $3. But then also what's really cool is that in here it has a name and an address and a date. So it says Ted Fishburne, I think Fishburne. So Ted Fishburne from Loveland, Colorado, February 10th, 1950. So this book's from the 1950s. That's really, really cool. Anyways, also it's got these really cool illustrations in it. Let me just see if I can find one. So yeah, they have these beautiful sort of block print or print illustrations and stuff. I'm really excited for this one. Add to my collection of classics right next to my Black Beauty collection. Next up, I've got Anne McCaffrey, The Dragon Riders of Pern. This is the first 3 books. So we've got Dragonflight, Dragon Quest, and The White Dragon. So these are the first 3 books in her series about the Dragon Riders of Pern. So the reason why I got this was, I've never read the books, but the reason why I got this one was because in junior high, I remember one of our teachers sort of starting to read one for us. It was towards the end of the year. And then we got these little papers that had a blank dragon egg on it, and we got to design our own dragon egg. And I remember that, and I loved that assignment. I still remember what my dragon egg looked like. And anyway, so I was really excited to pick this up and read it. But the thing that caught me off guard is that I thought this was going to be purely a fantasy, just, you know, in the land of Pern there are dragon riders and things like that. But then I read the first page of the introduction, and it was talking about like planets and cargo ships and things like that and planetary alignment and stuff. So I was like, is this a sci-fi? So I'm really excited. So tell me what do you guys like these books? I'm excited to find out. I definitely piqued my interest. Even more. So that's Anne McCaffrey's The Dragon Riders of Pern. The next 2 books I got are completing a collection that I have, or completing 2 collections that I have, or working towards that at least. And that is Beautiful Chaos by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. So this is part of the Beautiful Creatures series. I read the first one and I really enjoyed it. I like the Beautiful Creatures series. I'm a little nervous to get into the next few books just because I hear they're not as good. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'm planning on finishing the series. I think it'll be interesting. So this is the 3rd book in the series. Got it for $3, as you can see. And there are 4 books in the series, so I just need to get the last one, and then there's the spin-off series with Ridley, who's the main character. But anyways, so this is book number 3, and it's actually going to go right behind me. I've read the first book, haven't read the second book, but I've got the collection going now. Next I got, this one was actually pretty lucky for me to find, and that was the hardback edition of Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. So I've got the first 3 books. I read the first 2, but after the movie came out, and then he took forever to get the 3rd one out, and then I also had a bad experience on the internet when the movie was coming out with, I was a preteen at the time, I think, and some creepy dude like asked me like really inappropriate questions, and I was like, oh, I freaked out because I was a preteen, and I'm like people are trying to stalk me on the internet. And it was back before things like that were like a little bit more regulated, I think. Anyways, and so I was like, but I don't want that to taint my love for the story, because I loved this story so much. I loved discussing it with my friends. and all this stuff, and discussing predictions. So even though it's highly influenced by Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, I didn't care. I'm like, I love Lord of the Rings anyway, so why not love a book that's sort of inspired by that, that's really inspired by that. So anyways, this is the fourth book and the last book in the Inheritance cycle, in the Inheritance series, I don't know, the Aragon series. So anyways, I'm really excited to find this. I was lucky to find this too because it's in hardback, and all my series is in hardback, and also, got it for $5. But then also, just as I left that room, and this was like sort of tucked under my arm, somebody walked in and was like, "Oh, honey, here's the Aragon series. Which ones did you need again?" And he comes walking in and he's like, "Oh, I needed Inheritance. That's the only one I needed." And this was the only copy left. And I had snagged it. So I was pretty stoked about that. I just kind of was like, kind of trying to hide it because I didn't want them to feel bad or anything like that. But anyways, so I was lucky enough to snag this, like, seriously moments before the guy walked into the room looking for it. So anyways, that's Inheritance, Christopher Paolini. The next two books, the next ones I got are purely to add to a collection. I'm pretty excited about these. I got this box set of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. This will make number 5 in my physical collection of Tolkien. So this will be my 5th copy of the Lord of the Rings series and my 5th copy of The Hobbit that I now own. But it's a really cool box set. Like, I've never seen this box set before. It's from 1973 that this box set is, and so I mean, look at it. Look how shiny it is. It's all shiny and golden, and it's got these really cool symbols on them from Lord of the Rings. So it's got like the elfin symbols, but then also like some of the gods and goddesses in the series. But this is also super cool. Check this out. So these illustrations that are on the front of the books themselves, those are illustrations by Tolkien himself. And I love that. I've always wanted editions that have Tolkien's illustrations on the cover. I've been really, really wanting them. And then they've got this beautiful picture of Tolkien on the back. Look at that. The books themselves, they're a little bit beat up. The Fellowship of the Ring is pretty beat up. It's got a little bit of water damage and stuff, but they're all still in, pretty good condition. The box has been dropped, so it's got this little dent down here, but still a really cool, thing to add to my collection. I love it. Next up, I've got, this was a really cool find too, The Letters of Tolkien. Selected and edited by Humphrey Carpenter with the assistance of Christopher Tolkien. So these are just letters that Tolkien has written to his fiancée, to his love, or to his kids, written during the war, all kinds of things. So it's all just, and then just before the letters are written like little context, little things that tell you sort of what's going on in his life, and then you read what he wrote in those letters, and it's really, really cool. So, and then on the back they have this really cool like copy of one of the handwritten letters that he did talking about Lord of the Rings. Anyways, so I thought that was a really, really cool find. That was another one that somebody else was about to take, I guess. Somebody, I think one of the workers, one of the ladies who was selling books there, she saw me buying this, and she's like, "Oh, if nobody was gonna take that, I was totally gonna buy that," and stuff. And so I'm glad somebody's getting it. She didn't seem bitter about it, so that was nice. The last book, finally, the last book I've got to show you guys is one that I just barely got today, and it was on sale at Barnes & Noble, and so I knew I had to get it. That is The Art of the Film, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I love books about concept art. They're just so dang expensive. They're always like, they're always $50, and so I wait for them. I try and wait. It doesn't always work, but I try and wait until they go into the bargain area of Barnes & Noble. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's always an area of huge books, like huge coffee table books, that usually go on sale a while after the books come out. And so normally these books are about $50. I got this for $13. So I was pretty excited about it. I just love concept art books, and especially when it comes to creatures. And so to see their ideas for magical creatures was really, really fun. All of the images in here are digital, which I prefer personally to have some more hand-drawn art, but beggars can't be choosers. But it's still fascinating to see all the different renditions of the monsters that they went through before you know, picking a final design. That's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, thank you so much for the support. If you have questions about any of these books, let me know. Or if you've read any of these books, let me know if you've liked them, if they're any good. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.